So it's Semenya, South Africa. And on the inside, Jepkosgei just behind them, Krevshin and Okuru of Great Britain on the inside. Semenya pushes on again, and she's breaking away. There is no response now from Krevshin. Jepkosgei is in third. Semenya looks over her shoulder, and she's away. 10 metres, drifts to 15, drifting to 20, and the others cannot respond. Krevshin is still in second place. Jepkosgei is holding on. The winning time is going to be terrific. She comes through, 155, 155. 155.46. Well, that smashes the world list by almost 2 seconds.
As this athlete goes on a lap of honour. 155.45, smashing the national record, of course. An amazing performance. We'll be hearing a lot more of that, no doubt.
Controversy is brewing, Monica, over the gender of a South African athlete.
The world of athletics is in turmoil tonight over claims that controversial world champion Caster Semenya is an hermaphrodite.
She apparently had testosterone levels 3 times higher than those normally expected in a woman.
A gender test has been ordered, officials say, not because Semenya is suspected of cheating, but to determine whether she has what's being called a medical condition.
If at the end of this investigation it is proven that the athlete is not a female, we will withdraw her name for the results of the competition of today.
The gender test, it turns out, is a lot more complicated than you might think, involving more than just a physical examination. It also involves psychologists and experts in internal medicine and in internal gland function, and it can all take weeks.
The governing body says they will not issue a final decision until November. And by the way, if it takes 3 months to figure out whether you're a woman or not, you probably aren't.
First of all, this exposes this idiocy of gender testing in sports and the particular case of Caster Semenya, who is a brilliant athlete who should be celebrating the most extraordinary moment of her 18-year-old life, who is instead on suicide watch, exposes not a social crisis, but a socialization crisis, because we are taught to think that there are fixed gender, realities, fixed sexuality. The fact is, our sexuality, our genders are far more fluid in reality than we are often taught to think.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
And lost in all of this discussion is any understanding of what are known as intersex athletes, of people who may have male and female chromosomes. That's what they don't want to talk about. So you have to be a man or a woman. It's very binary, and at the end of the day, it absolutely stains people who may not fall into one of their very casual gender categories.
Here, Dr. Drager answers the question, what is intersex?
Intersex is when people are born with various kinds of sex anomalies. When a person develops, you begin with an egg and a sperm, and they each contain something called a sex chromosome. The mother's contains an X, and the father's usually contains either an X or a Y. If the embryo is XX, that'll develop into a female, and if it's XY, that'll usually develop into a male. But that doesn't actually tell you anything about their sex development. Sex development has about 100 different steps to it.
In girls, the reproductive organs become ovaries. In boys, they become testes and descend.
When we say penis and clitoris, they're really the same organ in development. And what can happen when you get intersex is something happens different. If you count how many children are born with really obvious anomalies of the genitals, that's about 1 in 2,000 children.
There are said to be about 30 known intersex conditions.
I wonder then, why is it so important to define it at birth? I think it comes from this idea that girls behave a certain way, women behave a certain way, and men behave a certain way, which is why homophobia exists, because homophobia, it comes from the idea that a girl should not partner with another girl. A girl who's normal partners with another boy, and etc. So when it is that you have people who fall out of this, whether it's behaviorally or phenotypically or medically or chromosomally, it kind of throws us off.
If she runs like a man and talks like a man, is she a man?
For Caster Semenya, who was transformed into a cover girl by a women's magazine here, it is all brutally public. The 18-year-old has tried to prove her femininity.
That's a boy because he got muscles. Serena Williams has muscles, but she's a girl.
You're different from other girls.
That's what you think.
You're smarter. You're almost like a man.
Oh, no, I'm very much the woman.
Homeless, homeless, we're moonlight sleeping on a midnight, and we are homeless, we're moonlight sleeping on a midnight, and we are homeless.
Gender testing is extremely complicated, but has happened before in track and field. Indian runner Santhi Soundarajan had her silver medal in the 2006 Asian Games stripped after failing a gender test. She reportedly showed a male chromosome. Sprinter Ewa Klobuchowska of Poland won 2 medals in the 1964 Olympics, but failed a gender test 3 years later and was banned from professional sports. And then there was Polish-American runner Stella Walsh, who won a gold medal for the Polish Olympic team in 1932. After she died, a post-mortem showed she had female and male chromosomes, as well as ambiguous genitalia. It's an unpleasant situation, and the rules for determining gender are not always clear.
Because essentially they are now invading this person's privacy in the most public way possible. I mean, you would think by now race officials would have determined, all right, well, you need, on the chromosome level, you need this, on on the hormone level, you need this. It's amazing to me that they're just now kind of saying, okay, well, let's test and try to figure it out.
Well, I agree with you. I think that if we're going to start invading people's privacies and questioning people's gender just because they happen to be a high performer or because a woman happens to be more masculine than what is typically expected, that we maybe should start testing everyone as routine testing when someone enters competition. And again, like I said, because there are so many different characteristics that define one's gender, that you can come away from that with a number of people and still not have a clear answer.
They basically have to come up with their own benchmarks for athletic competition, their own definition of what a male is, what a female is, and then take it from there.
They do, but then that can actually get you into a corner as well, because you will always find someone who does not meet any of your definitions.
Both the South African government and the public at large have rallied behind the teenage runner. The country's Parliamentary Sports Committee has threatened to take athletics body, the IAAF, to the United Nations Human Rights Commission, calling their actions racist and sexist.
Is it because she comes from a village? Is it because she comes from a humble beginning? Is it because she's African? And therefore, by virtue of our appearance, everything else we do, which is positive, there must be doubt.
I'm not worried at all. I'm not even stressed. I know what my child is because I gave birth to her. I'm not going to be shaken by anyone, says her mother. She believes jealousy and racism are to blame for the whole debacle. White people don't want to be outperformed by black people, she says. That's why they're causing all this trouble.
The international athletics body, the IAAF, has denied racism but admitted it could have handled the matter more sensitively.
Many people here feeling that the international athletics body had really mishandled this, that this public humiliation of an 18-year-old girl, no matter what these test results finally are confirmed to be, is just insulting, and many South Africans are quite indignant about the whole affair.
I feel she did well, and if they treat her like this, they're treating her unfair. They shouldn't do this to her because it will discourage her. In order to encourage women in sports and also to encourage her, they shouldn't be doing investigations like this.
The pressure to this girl, what this could do to her as a young athlete,
it could totally crush her. It could totally finish her psychologically, in the sense it could really have a bad effect on her, because, you know, already, remember, she's 18 and she's grown up feeling that she's a woman.
There is a twisted, sexist, racist, and heteronormative history that involves the way track and field and Olympic officials understand gender. A lot of people don't know this, but 40, 50 years ago, Olympic officials said that African American women maybe shouldn't compete because they look, quote unquote, hermaphroditic is the word that they used. 25 years ago, as recently as then, they would have women parade naked in front of Olympic and track officials to make sure that they were not men.
Ms. Semenya has also reminded the world of the importance of the rights to human dignity and privacy.
You know, all world-class athletes have something quote-unquote abnormal about them. Shaq O'Neal is 7 feet tall. Michael Phelps has flipper-like feet. Lance Armstrong has a capability of holding oxygen in his lungs at an abnormally crazy rate that allows him to climb the Pyrenees in a way that you or I would pass out in the foothills. So what are we talking about here? She is a trained professional athlete who beat other women.
Yeah, man, I don't know what to say. Yeah, it's pretty good to win the gold medal and bring it home. And he said, you know, girl, you can do it, eh? Then before the finals, he just told me, no, you can hang on the race, let them lead. Then last 200, kill them, man. Then